the type of legislator and speaker Oulanyah'S. So today it is actually a day of national mourning, which the president being the chief mourner. Now let's look at a day like this. What exactly happens?
Yeah, today we shall see, I think, most of the invited guests, because I think in Kololo we are going to have people who have been invited officially to be part of the mourning, and like you did put, which will be presided over by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. And from there, we have been informed that the body will be taken to his home in Omoro, his village, where burial will then take place after on Friday. We also, of course, you had also some people saying, no, the body should go by road. Others were saying the body should go by as prepared, as already planned to be airlifted. And people are saying, the body should go by road so that the number of stopovers. But I think that program, people also have to consider the time that it will take from here if to have those stopovers and the time when it is expected in Omoro. You would realize they could get there tomorrow. So I think to avoid that, it will be prudent and wise enough. That
but I think if it can be airlifted to Gulu, and then from Gulu to Omoro, they can have maybe stopovers, just like we saw with the John Pombe Magufuli, the airlifting the body to Mwanza, and then from Mwanza to Chato, it was by road. Yes.
Yeah, it is possible, but I think it is if it is faster, the better. But of course, these are a part of the ceremonies that we are witnessing from the time the speaker died in Seattle, and you look at, of course, when you look at where he died, connecting to Washington, it's a whole hell, because it's one end of the US to the another end of the US, and then of course connecting from Washington to back to Uganda is also another hassle. And people are saying, but why did the whole plane carrying the speaker, why did it have to go alone with no passengers on board? But also they need to understand that Uganda, the explanation that was given, that Uganda Airlines actually doesn't have an operating certificate license in the US. So you don't begin carrying your people because you have a vessel to carry them.
Yeah, but you see, Ugandans of course need explanation, and this is why the Uganda Airlines should also come out to explain this. In situations like this, it's people actually learn why certain things are the way they are. Because of course now people are like, yes, if we have our own national carrier, why would we use Ethiopian Airlines? So now that explanation comes, not somebody to think that maybe there's somebody who wanted Njaulo.
Yeah, of course, the Njaulo thing is there, but also you look at the convenience of transporting a person. I had an experience. We had one of the students that we had this exchange program with Korea. So we had one of the students who was sick in Korea. State House used to sponsor some students to go for studies. Now this particular student, when he fell sick, you have to get him back, but you are not going to put him with the other people. So they have to create a cubicle within the airplane, and then it means that that area that is excluded will have to be paid for, and then for all the flight, and of course this person has to be accompanied by a doctor. So I mean, transporting a sick person is not that cheap. More so when you think of a person of that caliber, of a speaker, you are not just going to get him on any plane and you say, now we are good to go. So the costs are a bit high, but of course that's the cost you meet if you are trying to save a life. Unfortunately, his life was not saved, but there were all indicators and goodwill that the government would have wished, and the leaders in this country would have wished that the Right Honorable Speaker survived.
Yeah, of course, like the Bishop of Northern Uganda Diocese did say while praying at Entebbe International Airport when they were receiving the body, that everything humanly possible was actually done to save his life, but of course
yes, humans, we can only do so much.
We can't do much. If God says, look here, this is the time you have to come back to me, then yeah, but at least government, friends, family did what they could do as human beings to really save the life of late Jacob Lokori Oulanyah. So, and yes, today being the day of national mourning, of course, everyone is, those who can make it to Kololo are expected to be in Kololo. But again, remember, the grounds cannot accommodate the 45 million Ugandans.
Yes.
So it therefore means that we shall have a small section actually representing the rest of us.
Yeah.
Because ideally the ground can, I think, can accommodate not more than 20,000 people.
But given the SOPs now, you may not even have those numbers there. Yeah, and
we may end up having something like 1,000 or
something like that comfortably. But the other people will be following either on the TV, on the social media, and all the other media. But there will also be another function back in the home. But I'm sure even the burial in home, in Omoro,
in the Logi,
will be so limited, because you cannot have everyone there, but there will be those who want to pay their last respects. Of course, there is a whole day tomorrow that people can go and pay their last respects, and of course leave the rest for the family. Normally and usually the burial is a private thing. It's basically for the few members of the family, and a few relatives, I mean a few friends who will be there. But of course that is not the African we know of, because until you are there and you have to put soil on the coffin, then to know that you have buried.
Really buried. Actually, in Africa, you only say that you buried when you've actually put some soil on the grave, and then you know that yes, I've also really buried. But because of now modernity, definitely now it has been replaced by actually flowers. Yes, that I
had an experience because I heard people talk about it that last time when you are in a coffin and then people begin throwing stones on the coffin is when you realize actually you are gone. Now I know, I think here we have been a bit decent, like you are saying. People are now putting their flowers or something like that. But I attended a burial in Kenya, and when that time came to put back at the soil, for them, because for us you put a coffin, then you on top of the coffin you put either iron sheets or something to cover, to exclude the coffin from. Not for them, everything just pour the sand, the stones, you really hear.
It is concrete.
Exactly. You hear the stones falling on the coffin, and I mean it's a very painful experience when you do so. But until that time, then an African, no, that one we have buried. So we have to witness, to put the soil. Sometimes you have to look to see that the coffin is lowered. But that is, of course, one way of burying. Elsewhere, like we said, when a person is dead and put in a coffin, that coffin is never opened. Because people want to associate with you the way you appeared when you are alive. Many people would not want to have that experience of you when you are dead. So for I don't call them the civilized societies, because sometimes that is also like one says it is a misspelling. But we have that feeling that the dead, the fear of the dead, and sometimes it is decent when you have someone in a coffin and you are not looking at them, and they are not also looking at you, and you leave it at that. But for Africans, we have to open to prove that actually you are the one in that coffin. And but also that also happens because we have had cases where people have buried people, and 5 years later on the dead appears.
Yeah.
So maybe it's because of that also that people have to be sure that the person we are burying is ours, and also to be sure that actually the dead is our person and our person is dead. So I think for Africans, that issue to prove that you have to touch and feel them, and you know actually they're even dead, is partly of our culture.
Yeah, I think in the African culture, yes, differently. You have to see the person and even touch. You know that yes, this one. So, yeah, but because of modernity, but also even the pandemic. Actually, in the pandemic,
it is the hygiene, the health factors,
that because this we witnessed during the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, that now people would just use the portrait.
Yeah, yes, we have contagious diseases like cholera, like now Ebola, now we have had COVID, and many others that when they can easily spread from one dead person to many living persons, and then you'll have the whole community up and sick. So I think that one also covered, because I remember I participated in one of the cholera promotion, campaigns, but it is very painful. It was for the families that lost their relatives, because the health workers will just get a black kavera, tie the body in that kavera, put it in a coffin and seal it completely, and even spray it so that no one will touch it. And after they bury the body, they even remove the clothes that they used and also
burn them.
Yes. So that is not the African culture that we know of. But we also need to appreciate that certain things have to change, because we are now not living in the Africa we used to live in. We are living in a globalized.
No, but also even in the African setting, especially when you go to places like Nigeria, that people would actually contract those contagious diseases. Those life-threatening diseases would actually be sent to the evil forest and would die there. Yeah. So it even in the African way, they had a way of saying, like, look here, instead of affecting, instead of really putting the lives of the community members in danger, they would rather isolate this one person. So you find that in some cultures, really, that's how rude it was, that the one who had to be isolated, so that perhaps when he dies, he dies.
But this isolation thing is not a new thing. It may look new because it is happening in our lifetime, but it has been there for quite some time. You remember even in the Bible, people who used to have leprosy, they would move with bells, that everyone who meets them knows that the sick person is coming. But also we have also other cultures within the African society, where when a person died, then the whole of that village will move away, abandoning the dead body there, because to them that will be a bad omen. A bad omen, yes. Yes, so they will leave that dead body there.
Yeah, actually, this was common with pastoralists.
Yes.
Yes, that they had to leave that place and then move to another place,
exactly.
saying that yes, now this place has been invaded by the spirit of death.
Yeah. So in one way, it also helped to stop the spread of the diseases, and if such a person had a disease that would then spread to the other members of the family, they would not be secure. But with time now, we have seen things change. People die and then they are kept for a long time, like we have seen with now the late speaker. And also sometimes you find that the treatment of the body, so that by the time the person is buried, is already treated, and you don't have you ever gone to the burial and you found this really smelling dead body?
Yeah, when actually they've not bothered.
Exactly.
Or they have no capacity to really
to have that body treated.
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
but
yes.
I think one of those days, because these days at least the person can be treated and can be kept for some time, unlike in the past.
Yes, dear viewers, stay tuned to BC TV, and anytime we're taking you to Parliament, where the body or where the casket carrying the remains of the late Jacob Lokori Oulanyah will be taken to Kololo Independence Grounds for the national mourning, and the chief mourner is the Fountain of Honor, President Yoweri Museveni. Yes, everyone is invited, but of course not everyone will make it there because of the SOPs, because of the COVID-19 pandemic which is still with us, but also the fact that Kololo is not big enough to accommodate everyone of us. So those who will be lucky to make it to Kololo will represent the rest of us. As you can see, that is at Parliament, where anytime from now the convoy will be leaving the Parliament premises and heading to Kololo. In Kololo, people have already started arriving. And taking their seats. So we shall know from our team from Kololo to know who exactly is present and who is not. For the first time, we saw the opposition participating in this yesterday.
Well, yesterday we saw the opposition taking part, and I think the leader of opposition in Parliament was one of the those people, the government officials who received the body when it was ushered at Parliament. And we also, one person I have not been able to see is Cecilia Ogwal.
No, Cecilia Ogwal was in Parliament yesterday, and she was among those who really eulogized the late Jacob Lokori Oulanyah. Of course, having participated in mentoring him into politics. And
of course, we saw many politicians across the divide eulogizing the speaker.
Let's get to Parliament, and here we are, and those are some of
Rudi
We are still at Parliament, and we are witnessing how the body of the late Speaker has been boarded onto the waiting vehicle that is actually joining the rest of the cars in the convoy to be transported to Kololo. Of course, as we have earlier talked or said, it is a learning experience. We are now seeing, of course, that you don't just carry a body of a person of the stage of the late Oulanyah and just put it on the waiting vehicle, but there are a number of things that are done.
Yeah, and of course, it was yesterday when we said that it is such a time that you appreciate that it was necessary to have a speaker in office before the late speaker would be buried. Because you needed a commander to provide guidance and leadership for all of these ceremonies to be performed. Now, if you didn't have a person in office of that nature, of that stature, then a lot of things will be, I think, going the wrong direction. But with now the leadership of Parliament fully constituted, you are able to have all these ceremonies performed and flawlessly. And that is something that we now come to appreciate, that maybe the framers of the law were not very wrong, like we had
like we had
imagined. Yes, yeah. It is until now that we definitely we now appreciate.
Yeah, you know, time always answers everything.
Exactly.
Now that actually, I think Ugandans are beginning to appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think it was necessary that we had the election of the speaker before we could proceed with the burial. And yes, now the convoy begins its journey to Kololo, where a number of Ugandans gathered in Kololo are really anxiously waiting for the body, and as earlier said, President Yoweri Museveni is expected to be the chief mourner. We are yet to know who are coming from other neighboring countries. Definitely Jacob Lokoro Oulanyah, as somebody who believed in regional integration and Pan-Africanism. I believe some of his colleagues across the border on the continent, and perhaps even outside the continent, would wish to come and be part of the national mourning and also be part of the burial in Lalogi, that is in Omoro district in northern Uganda. So here we are, as you can see, the convoy is on its way out of Parliament, and just close to the gate of Parliament, and it will be heading to Kololo. Kololo, where we are going to have the national mourning. Of course, the ceremony for everybody of us to pay their last respect to the late Jacob Lokoro Oulanyah. Yesterday we saw it was the legislature, but now it is all the three arms of government coming together with the Wananchi of Uganda, yes, to say bye-bye to the late Jacob Lokoro Oulanyah. Now, as we've witnessed earlier, of course, the discipline on the road is really very, very high. We thank the police, and we also thank the Wananchi for really heeding to what the police and more so the traffic has told them, or how the traffic has actually guided. Because we've seen sometimes when also the road users becoming stubborn.
Sure.
When they say, please don't use this road, and they're like, no, we have to use it.
Yeah, that's true. And we have seen it all the way from the time the body arrived in the country.
In the country on Friday.
Yeah, from the airport to the funeral home in Mengo. Then we saw it again from Mengo to the home in Muyenga. Yesterday we saw the body leaving Muyenga for Parliament, and we're seeing it from Parliament to Kololo. I'm of course aware that road users have, in one way or the other, been inconvenienced along the areas where the body has passed and where the convoy is traveling through. But I mean, there's no better way of doing it. than that. And I'm sure the public will understand that inconvenience and bear with the organizers for now. And for people who are traveling, I mean, who are in Kampala, if I were doing business in Kampala, I would avoid areas now of Kololo, areas of Ginger Road, areas of Yusuf Kalule, I mean Yusuf Lule Road, areas of Mulago, and use other alternative roads.
No, but also Ugandans, of course, some enterprising Ugandans are also using this for purposes of making money. For example, now t-shirts are being sold, and they are really buying. Very many people really are buying now the bow ties. Everybody as one way of mourning the late, and now for the first time the prices of bow ties is actually. I'm told yesterday it went as much as 50,000.
Sure.
One year that we used to buy at 10,000, so it as much as 50,000. Now, of course, in Kololo, you know that definitely those who are selling water, food. Yes, life must continue.
Yeah, but for those ones, they may not be allowed in Kololo because I'm sure the people who will be coming to Kololo are very few, and the public is definitely not going to be involved in this, except maybe on invitation. But still, people have a way of getting their way around it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you remember when the late John Pombe Magufuli died, when he was taken to the National Stadium, there was a stampede because people were so many, everybody, and remember people were lining up on the streets.
Yeah. No, exactly. That security is very conscious, and that's why they have deployed. I passed through town and I could see the police deployments on the roads and the other security agencies to avoid such stampedes, because here anything can happen. I know maybe the numbers that are turning up are may not be as those that turned up when President Magufuli died, but still you don't take anything for until you are sure.
Yes, as you can see, the convoy carrying the remains of the late Jacob Lokori Oulanyah heading to Kololo from Parliament premises, where the body was actually lying since yesterday. And from Kololo, I think we don't know what time the function ends, then the body will be flown to Lalogi, that is in Omoro district. So that is the convoy, and as we noticed earlier, the discipline on the road is highly commended.
Yeah.
And we thank the team, we thank the journalists who are doing everything possible to ensure that we get this. Yes, we can be able to see by ourselves. You know, gone are those days when actually you'd just be told that this is what happened. But now everybody, every Ugandan, wherever they are, in your sitting room or at your workplace, you can actually follow the function as you can follow everything that is taking place. Now, actually, what does it mean by being accorded a state funeral? Because this is something people really are yet to understand. What does it mean by one being accorded a state funeral?
There are two types of funerals. Actually more than two, but in Uganda I think we are used to the two types of funerals. The official funeral and the state funeral. The difference is not much, but the difference is actually in detail. Well, we can now see the convoy passing through. I think they are moving from Parliament. They have just passed through the UBC roundabout here, yes, heading through Serena down to until they join Yusuf Lule, and then Prince Charles, Kololo, then I think go from up, then down the enter Kololo, and that's where the services, the other services and other functions will be performed. Now, in detail, the state funeral is normally accorded do the leaders or persons who are of an outstanding nature, the president, the vice president, now the speaker, the chief justice, or the president or parliament can still cause for a state function, for a state burial of a distinguished person
in society.
By order, yes, either by president or parliament can do that. Now the state function, like we are now looking at this one, it has all the services provided, the bodies being managed by the police, but also that at the burial they receive the gun salute. That is accompanied. In sometimes official functions, official burials may not have gun salutes unless ordered so by the president. But in most cases, the state an official burial may not have the gun salute. And in some countries, we like in the UK, when it is a state, but for them they also have what they call the royal burial. The royal burial. Yes, because sometimes the state, because the state is the royal something. So the royal burial, you have the body being transported by horses. Not the vehicles. Not the vehicles. Yeah, yes. And sometimes you do have the when it comes to gun salute, that the firing, the pulling is done by horses. By horses. Okay. Not humans. Now, for us here, the difference is in the detail, like I was saying, that the state function is more elaborate. It has all these details of the national mourning. It has the public holiday at the end of it. You have to have flags flying at half-mast. Yes. Yeah, but for an official function, official burial, you may not have the flags flying at half-mast. You may not have even the gun salute, and you may not. You don't have a public holiday at the end of the burial. Yeah, because also a state funeral, there's also a day for national mourning, like we're having today. Yeah, actually, like today, everybody should have been told, the whole country, we should be putting on black. Yeah. Yes, because as a way of mourning. And you like we saw in Tanzania, almost everybody, like when they buried the late John Paul Magufuli, almost everybody had to looked for the T-shirt of the late John Paul Magufuli. So for the state burial, it is normally for the president or the vice president, the speaker, and the chief justice. The chief justice, yes. Those are the three arms of government mainly, that the any of the leaders when they die there. But the other people who, like the former leaders also, who may not have the state, who may have the state burial, or sometimes they may not, but they can have the official burial. But mainly, all the former heads of state are entitled to to a state burial. Of course, depending on what record you left behind. No, it doesn't matter, because if it is stipulated that a former head of state, when he dies, accorded a state burial, then it is the law. Yeah, what I'm saying, it is the law, but I can say subject to what because at times somebody dies when they're in exile, like Mobutu in DR Congo. Of course, they couldn't afford to accord him a state funeral because he died in exile. But Kabila, they did because he actually died. Exceptional cases, yes. There are some people who can die, and the state burial is not given for whatever reasons. Of course, there could be a number of other reasons. Because even here we have seen our former leaders die, and they are not accorded that state burial. But ordinarily and naturally, if it happens, then you know the person is accorded, and because he's expected to have that state burial. But of course, other members of government can have, like we see members of parliament, they are usually given official burials. Official burials. Yes, because theirs is not as elaborate as what we are seeing happen with the Speaker of Parliament.
Yes, definitely. This is very elaborate, and we've right from Friday, we are seeing a number of new things. Of course, blending the official state function with cultural and also religious ways on how one is really sent off. But this is also another wake-up call to, or something that should also awaken cultural institutions and cultural leaders, that much needs to be documented about our cultures.
Yeah, but even the national, last time I remember we were talking about the national symbolism and imaging. That what makes us proud as Ugandans. When I see, like I was complaining about the flag, that why should we have a flag wrapped on the bonnet of the car like that one? Because then we are not being conscious about the embodiment of what we hold in that flag. Because, like I said, that some countries have the flag is a human is human and is addressed so, and even here the flag is not supposed to be subjected to that torture of rain and
just
dust.
Like a country
exactly
is also looked at as a human being.
Yes, yeah. So we need to have all that symbolism in order, because then that is what the other generations that come before us are able to, when they see a flag, a Uganda flag flying, they should be proud. They should feel honored that they have that in mind. So we need to give it the credibility, the respect that it deserves as a flag. That's what I was telling you. For Americans, and you have heard these stories, you cannot touch their flag, even in terms of crisis. That's why you see, when you want to provoke them, you just burn it, and that is enough to cause trouble. So I think as Ugandans, we also need to have our symbols: the national flag, the national emblem, the national coat of arms,
the anthem.
Yeah, the anthems. We need to know what these are and how we use them, because like you have an anthem with 3 stanzas. But the best many people can do is to gamble with the first stanza.
With the first one.
Yes, later on the meaning of what is embedded in that anthem, the singing alone is a problem.
No, so somebody was saying that if really Ugandans took time to interpret, to give a critical appreciation of the national anthem, even our national motto, I think one wouldn't be having things like corruption, wouldn't be having things like bribery. I mean, would be a very, very peaceful country, because it shows that Uganda is a God-fearing country. I think these issues of human sacrifices, wouldn't be hearing about them.
There was a time in this country when every morning children, when they're in school, the national flag will be raised. And when the national flag is being raised, you'll find all students standing up and singing the anthem. And to me, that is important, and something that we need also to revisit to ensure that the generations that are coming after now understand the national anthem. When do we use the national anthem, and how do we use it? When do we sing the 3 stanzas of the national anthem, and when do we not? What does it mean?
I think the practice changed, because before we would sing the first stanza on any function, but we would also sing, maybe we would sing up to the 2nd stanza where it is an official function where the president is presiding over. Then we would sing up to the 3rd stanza when somebody, a hero, perhaps like a national leader passes on. So that is when we would sing the 3 stanzas. But you remember the person who composed the anthem, when the day he died, and it was brought in Parliament, he was brought in Parliament, and it was discussed, said, look here, people don't know these stanzas. And the president said, okay, let the practice change. So since that time, we sing all the 3.
But even because there is now nothing like a death line in the 3rd stanza.
So, of course, that was just a practice. But now we sing all the 3. We sing all the 3 stanzas. But it is very interesting that up to now, very few can actually sing this. And you know, patriotism is something that Ugandans, all people world over, learn from leaders.
Exactly.
And I would wish that all our elected leaders should take this as something serious. That when you're at a function, let people see you singing the national anthem. You are the guest of honor at any function. Let people see, because, like, for example, when you look at the Americans, you will see a president passionately singing the national anthem. When you look at the UK, the Prime Minister passionately singing their national anthem. But when you look at Uganda, we just even in Parliament when they are beginning, just look at their lips. Most of them are just keeping quiet. So when somebody sees that, yes, you are also following, singing, then it will also be part of inspiring them. Now it becomes a disaster when there is no music system to replay, and people have to sing it by themselves. Then you'll see how people are eating one.
Yeah,
so
but
that is when leaders should lead and just look here, this is how it is sung, and they can see a leader singing all the three stanzas of the anthem. And
I studied issues of flag management for some time, and I got interested in looking at how different countries handle their flags. When you look at the website, there's an institute of the British Institute of Flag History. Now, I have been, for example, if you go to Rubaga today, you'll find Uganda flag put upside down, because in principle the crane should be facing the pole. The pole, yes. But we have had cases when the flag, the crane is looking away, and that is irregular. Twice I found a flag hanging on some of the offices, including one of these Raja chambers. That was when we used to have the court there, the constitutional court, and the flag was hanging upside down. And I asked the policeman, "Are you the man here? Do you see this flag running in this order?" The guy's like, "No one knew that." And
I think they think it's just a matter of hanging the flag.
Exactly.
Putting up the flag.
There is another house, I think a foreign mission just here behind where I used to have Nando's. There is either some office there, and you find the flag also hanging the other way around. Sometimes you are like, oh, what is wrong here? Or you know, the mixing of the colors, the paintings, the black, red, yellow, which one comes up? And we have seen this at number of functions. I think the convoy is now making its way
to Kololo.
Into Kololo, and any moment now the body will be delivered at the venue. I can see a number of government officers have already made their way in Kololo. That is near, that's the lower Kololo. I can see next to housing finance, and that's where the body is making its way through, and then they will go up and into Kololo grounds.
Yeah, and as we can see those cars, were, of course, I believe the cars that transported people who are really going to be part of the national mourning. Mtazamaji mpendwa wa UBC TV, hapa tulipo na ni siku ya maombolezi ya kitaifa, ambapo taifa linamwomboleza mwenda zake Jacob Lokori Oulanyah aliyekuwa spika wa bunge la Uganda. Na kwa kweli sherehe au eneo la maombolezo ya kitaifa ni uwanja wa Uhuru Kololo, ambapo mwombolezaji mkuu atakuwa Mheshimiwa Rais wa Uganda, Mheshimiwa Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Na maiti wa mwenda zake Jacob Lokori Oulanyah leo asubuhi imetolewa pale maeneo kutoka jengo la bunge, na kama unavyoona magari ambayo yamebeba mwili wa mwenda zake Jacob Lokori Oulanyah ndo sasa hivi unaelekea pale Kololo. Na wakati wote tutakabidhi jagenda ambapo atatuelezea nini hasa kinachoendelea. Yes, ndugu Jagenda, na wakati wote Jagenda atakuwa anatuelezea nini hasa kinachofanyika, nini kinachoendelea, ni nani hasa wa kupokea.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and once again good morning, and thank you so much team in studios, ndugu Mututa, Akol, Mandi Amazima, and everybody right there. My name is Jagenda Semakola Ziksoka. Welcome. We are now at the Independence Grounds here in Kololo. The body of the late Right Honorable Jacob Lokoli Oulanyah has arrived just now. It is 9:30, a few minutes to 9:30, and the body is just right here, being received by the Bola dancers, who you also on Friday going to the airport receiving the body of Jacob Lokoli Oulanyah. They've been doing this from the time they came in, and here is where we are today. Now the service should be ready to start thereafter from here, and as you can notice, so
Na ndugu mtazamaji wa UBC TV, sasa hivi ni pale hapa uwanja wa Uhuru wa Kololo, ambapo mwili wa mwenda zake Jacob Lokoli Oulanyah ndio umefika, na tunaona kwamba wale wachezaji wanao ngoma ya kijadi ya bola kutoka jamii ya Wacholi, kama utamaduni ulivyo au utaratibu katika utamaduni wa jamii ya Wacholi, wameanza wanaupokea mwili. Na sasa hivi ndugu mtazamaji, jambo ambalo ningependa pia tuelewe ni kwamba leo ni siku ya maombolezi ya kitaifa. Kumbuka kwamba nataka nirejee kwake ndugu Jagenda. Hello ndugu Jagenda, can you update us on what is at Kololo?
well, what is actually happening now is the body of Jacob Oulanyah is just receiving at Kololo Independence Grounds, like I earlier told you. People are being expected to be here, of course. When you look at the attendance here, you notice that many of the people who were invited to come and be here have not yet taken their seats. Members of Parliament and quite a number of all the other dignitaries, VIPs that were invited. But now, just that because the body is here, we maybe think we will have to start the service because the clergy are here. I have at least seen members of the Inter-Religious Council of Uganda, the clergy, I've seen the judges, and some other persons who are invited. But now that the body is here, we wait to see what next will happen, because the body is the function to us.
Or people are yet to take up their seats. Should we say that perhaps the mobilization was poor, or just people are maybe trapped in traffic?
Yes, Akol, you said something that I didn't pick.
Yes, I see. You say a number of people who are invited are yet to take up their seats. Should we say that they are trapped in traffic, or the mobilization was not adequate?
Are you talking about the number of people that were invited here?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we were told they invited 1,500 people. These are inclusive of members of the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, from the clergy, cultural institutions, the media, the family, and everybody was supposed to be here. So we are waiting and expecting. But remember that everybody who is here had to go do a COVID test. And so what happens, and I think one of the issues that is delaying the people from coming in is that people need to check and to be cleared for COVID. Then they access the grounds. So, but it's also being worked on, and people are coming in. We only thought maybe the border would get here when everybody is here, but here is where we are. The border is here, and a few people who are here, and we wait to know what happens next on the program.
We have seen that every other time the body is being brought to a particular area or a particular place, there is somebody who receives it. So who's receiving the body at Kololo today?
Well, where we are here today, we are now just seeing a parade forming, and the parade is being mounted by assistant commissioners of police. Now these are the ones who have been doing it from the time when we received the body on Friday at Entebbe International Airport, and they've been charged to do this, and they're the ones doing it. So where we are here today, we do not see anybody specifically, like we saw at Entebbe and like we saw yesterday at Parliament, somebody waiting to receive the body. So we're only thinking they're going to do the traditional ceremonies as they normally do them, then the body will be put where it's supposed to be put and wait for the others. I don't see anybody here receiving the body as we've seen for the past days.
Now, Jageda, if you've got a copy of the program, can you take us through today's program?
Say what you said again.
If you've got a copy of the program, can you take us through today's program?
I am not at liberty where I am to take you through the program because we are in movements back and forth, but later we will be able to share the program with you. But where I am now, I can't get into checking the program, to look at it, but I have the booklet with me.
So far, who has arrived and who has not yet arrived?
Well, you're talking about, I think, VVIPs, but we saw a delegation from the DRC, and we've seen judges, the religious leaders, and quite a number of people who have come. So we just wait to see officially who is here, especially for those who are invited to be part of the ceremonies today.
God soil, and you may be wondering why the religious leaders say soil into soil, and then other things they say dust to dust. So that is how we came from. But after creating us from that dust, God breathed in that human being life. And then
back to studio, Jagenda has painted a picture for us of what is happening at Kololo. Let's look at this, because at the airport we found that everybody was there in time before the board arrived at Parliament, and out here we are seeing actually the opposite. That
if you looked at the traffic flow as the convoy was passing, you realize that there were a number of blockades. Now, for people, members of the invited people who may have not crossed the line before the roads were blocked, it means they are still in that blockade. Now that, because there was literally a freeze. Now, after this, now that the convoy has arrived in Kololo, it is possible that people other invited guests will be joining in. For those who missed to be there as scheduled, and you know Africans are sometimes good at that, they could be blocked.
There is no delay in Africa.
Exactly, they could be blocked in traffic, including members of parliament. Remember, most of them had to go to parliament.
For COVID tests?
Yes. No,
yesterday.
to get transport, because they're, I think, moving in a bus or something like that. Now, if they were not part of the convoy, then they're also going to get there later. But we also have this the way sometimes people do their things here. After it is a person is dead, there's no hurry.
Well,
so
because my concern is that since 2020, when we had COVID, the effects of COVID, is that actually whenever there's a function in Kololo, you find that even people arrive after the guest of honors arrive. For example, every other time we're electing the speaker, you remember in 2021 that people kept on coming even when the president had come in, even when the process had started. They didn't begin with. So, and the issue was they were waiting for their COVID results. Just recently, also when we're having another election of the speaker, the same thing. Or even whenever there is a sitting at Kololo for legislature, you find that there is always that delay. So, should we say that these are some of the effects of COVID?
It's sometimes indiscipline, because why, if you are late, you are late. Why should you go there to inconvenience everyone? And I've seen this happen at a number of functions. There are people who just want to come late for purposes of making a statement. When everyone is seated and people are quiet, and then they arrive, then they make noise, and that one, you'll see they are stealing the show, like it is said. But it is indiscipline, especially if you are a member of cabinet and the president has arrived.
Before you've arrived.
And then you also visit arriving. What do you expect the master of ceremonies to say? To announce you arriving after the principal.
After the principal.
So these are some of the things. But
or you're a member of parliament. And you arrive after the speaker has arrived.
So that is indiscipline. Time is also part of the discipline that we have in life. Make sure you are there and prepare yourself, because you have no idea how stupid you can look when you get to a function late, and sometimes you get there and immediately you are being asked to say something. So, but if you are there, you are prepared, you look organized.
You're composed.
Exactly. Yes. And for public officers, when the senior person has already arrived, unless there is a reason as to why you should be late, then you don't even have to go there, because you consider yourself absent. It will be understood.
Now, Oulanyah, the late Jacob Lokoro Oulanyah was known for being punctual when it comes to time. And I think as we mourn him, this is something we'll be observing. That look here, he dressed in bow ties, which everybody now he says, look, as we mourn him, this is something we have to do. But also keeping time. I remember when the late Professor Sivambi died, and that is what the thing. So look here, as we mourn him, we must actually also keep time, because respect what is the principles that he stood for.
Yeah, sure. And we have seen people like I was told the late Vice President Kiseka also was very time conscious. Even at his age, still will keep time. I'm told of had gone into a function and we found people putting up the tents and said, then we were preparing for visitors. Say, okay, then he walked away. So sometimes time is very, very crucial, especially when you are a leader, because you program your life. It helps you to do many things with that time, but also the discipline. Because many people are looking at you, but if you cannot keep it for whatever reason, then there must be an explanation.
No, somebody was joking some time back that in Africa, the best way to show your importance is by arriving late.
Yeah, that also happens. You get late and you have made everyone yawn and sit and wait for
finally. And here you come. So these are some of the challenges that really.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that is the Bola dance and the culture of. Actually, we really sing a lot from the Bola dance. I believe now in this year no one should do fail this question and comes in PLOE. That is yes,
exactly.
the dance, the royal dance that is performed when an elderly person or a royal person dies among the actually. I don't
which will also be very important, because I mean we sometimes know a lot of Americans, a lot of Australians, the Aborigines and many others, which is good, but it's also better that we appreciate our own like this. Now if a question comes in primarily of people who can dance during the burials, I mean, then it promotes.
Yeah, and this is part of SST.
Exactly.
And I guess no one should fail this question if it comes in the PLOE.
Sure.
Yes, they should do, because now the bola dance is everywhere.
Exactly.
And gone are those days when, you know, I normally meet those who are studying and practicing journalism. I say that, look here, in the 70s, we only had UTV. And only accessed in Entebbe, Jinja, Kampala, and a few towns. But now you see UBC and other media houses everywhere you go, even deep in the village, you can access it. So this is how the country has transformed. Because now you can imagine if we still had only UTV then, and maybe accessed in a few major towns, now people would only be relying on either Radio Uganda and other FM stations.
Oh, sure, yeah, we now have a liberation in that area. Many people are, but also it also has come with its own effects. Social media, for example, in most cases you fail to understand. If you are not capable of, if you don't have the tools of interpreting and assessing and sieving the information, sometimes the multi-channels are not necessarily the sources of reliable information. We have people now having all their boredom and all their stress on those channels. But it's important that the information is there, and it is you who can make use of it. Whichever way you want to use it.
No, of course, social media has its own effects, but also people also should learn to use it. That even when you're on social media, you should know what are the credible sites and who are the credible sources, because not everybody or not everything that is posted that makes sense. You don't know. You need to know who is posting, who has said it, and how many people have perhaps received the information and can verify that is authentic.
Yeah, because for me, if I have my handle, I just need to have hits. I just need to have the numbers, the followers, and if I'm going to create something that's going to bring for me those numbers in social media, that is very okay. But you are looking at the credible sources, credible information that the public should consume. So for me, this dancing is one of those issues that we can promote, because many people don't know that there are dances that you can have. We have been hearing of a few cases, especially in Nigeria, when a chief dies and people are dancing. But maybe it has not been as elaborate, because we have seen people, prominent persons in Nigeria die, but we have not maybe heard not much about the dancing thereby. But this is also very crucial. And now, if in the face of international media, this is also very good for the promotion.
You know, this is why I think I like the people in Rwanda, that they have promoted their dance. Even when you are out there at African functions, you find that the Rwandese dance is one of those that they will actually they will look out to be performing. And I think also it's time that such kind of dances, and remember this year we are having Jama Fest. Jama Fest is Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki Cultural Festival. It is every after 2 years, but it was interrupted by COVID.
You have no idea when people dance Kadodi. Until when the other time when President Uhuru was campaigning, the first time was campaigning, when Kadodi was introduced in Kenya.
When of course that is when he was in Bungoma.
Yes. And women had to abandon their cooking
to see what is happening.
Exactly.
Yes.
So some of these cultures, if well promoted and well blended, can promote this continent all through. It is upon now the people, the professionals who can handle this, that they can promote this. And this Africa is rich, and with all the dynamism and the many tribes and the many colors, I think this country, this continent is blessed, but it is us who should make use of it. In fact, when you go on any social site and you look at the music, I think we are too much into other people's things, but we also need to bring up ours. I understand the quality may not be that the best, but we can begin from there to reach to where we want to be. And you know, the beat in Africa, the African beat is unique compared to the lousy music that you hear from other parts of, because of the energy, the enthusiasm that we put, the life that we put in our things. And I think that one is easy to promote, really.
Well, I think also this takes us to Congo. When, you know, when DR Congo, when at that time they really had should I say had colonized the continent with their music.
Exactly.
Is that most of the music they play was a blended version of their traditional is. Because when you look at Mutwash, it was actually something that was, when you look at the likes of this, is it the Kwasa Kwasa? Yes, the same. So when you look at most of their songs, it was they would actually have got them from the folk songs they used to have when they were still young, and even the way the rhythm that they were using, the way the instruments were being used, was in line with actually what they were doing as kids, and it had a lot of African culture. It had a lot of their culture in Congo. Now, when you come to the people in Zanzibar, of course, you look at their Tarab. It has something to do very much with what. With their culture. So also, how do we, here in Uganda we had the Kadongo Kamu that you'd see was blended with the Kiganda culture. So how actually we can use these very traditional dances and then come up with something, come up with perhaps a music kind of fashion and style that can sell can sell that culture, but also sell the continent.
But the problem there is the laziness with which we do our things. Because now when you look at our traditional instruments, they are dying out because someone has incorporated these traditional beats into a keyboard or something, because then you will not have a xylophone, you will not have all this traditional music, the flute. This make us our identity stand out. But when we get sophisticated, sometimes we negate a lot of things about us that definitely are very important. So when you look at the Kadongo Kamu group, is phasing out little by little. I don't know what happens when finally, when you look at like now the type of the band, like Africo band, when it, and my worry is they are not recruiting the young blood.
People,
yes, they are living their life as well. Now, when finally they disappear, what will happen? The Kadongo Kamus who have been hearing here, and even not only in Uganda, they across the country, people who have been singing traditional songs out there, most of them are aging out. How do we pass that to the incoming generation? Now, if we cannot do that, then that's a disaster. But what we need to do is that blend, mix the young ones, the old ones, because then the young ones will be able to fill in when finally the old ones go. But also the most important thing is that how do we protect our local instruments? Because some of these instruments are about us and they are unique the way they are made and the attachment that we have to some of these instruments. So we can maintain the beat fine, but let's also look at the whole scenario of how to protect our traditional music and our traditional instruments. And
one could also easily say that Africans are very much in love with their culture, and especially their traditional dances and songs. You remember this Wanchekecha when he came up, Saida Karol, when he came up with his song Maria Salome, and it became a hit.
Yes.
in Tanzania, Uganda and DRC. It became a serious hit because the language was actually appealing. Even the beats, the instruments used, the Afrobeat in the song, that everybody was like, yes, this is our very, very own. We remember we had the Atwoti song from Kenya, and you see how it really spread within the Luo community from Kenya, Tororo, northern Uganda, and even to Sudan and some parts of Congo, because it was a song that was appealing. And when you look at also the ethnic distribution on the continent, that such a dance, you know that it will be welcome in Sudan, it will be welcome in DR Congo, in Uganda, and in Kenya. Now, when you look at the Rwandese dance, you're sure it will be welcome in Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, Uganda, and also Tanzania. Now, like you talked about the Kadodi, definitely it's more than welcome in Kenya because of the large grouping of the Luhya people in Kenya. So these are some of the things that we have to look at.
Yeah, sure. And we need the people that, especially like we said, the professionals should provide guidance in that line, because people have gone to school to study music, but sometimes when they come back and what they do with that music, you wonder what is happening, because we have seen songs here that cannot live to their first anniversary. No, within a few months it has disappeared. You can't even remember where it went. So I think it's also good for professionals as they compose this music. They will also be aware of the legacy, of the longevity of these songs. There was a time when we had the South African music. It took Africa by surprise, and some of it has remained around for quite some time.
No, I think the music that was sung on purpose. It was sung for a purpose that was very, very clear.
Exactly.
Because they used the music as a tool, as a weapon to fight apartheid.
Yes.
And really you realize that that is why the music really was here and there. But even they used theater, like you remember the famous Sarafina. Before we were in love with the Nigerian movie Nollywood. At least South Africa had given us a number of movies that was highlighting exactly what they were going through.
Exactly.
But we can only say that maybe when they achieved what they wanted, because they used the music and entertainment and as a weapon to fight apartheid. But now that apartheid was no more, they failed to have a paradigm shift, and actually now you can see the music and film industry has totally collapsed, and the Nigerians who looked now at a new dimension of domestic violence, and they came up now, and that is why you find that they managed to be everywhere.
Sometimes having no focus can also be dangerous, because at we used to have a man was called Wahiru, I think. He was a columnist in Kenya, and every other weekend you'd go to his column. He's talking about Moi. Either Moi had a bad tie that day, or he had something. One time he said he was comparing him with the others. But finally, when Moi left power,
the column died. because ideally he was obsessed with Moi.
Exactly.
So when Moi was no, so it's just the same thing with South Africans, because you know Mandela said that after climbing one big mountain, you realize that there are other mountains also to climb. So their focus was on apartheid. After apartheid, there was a need for them to go to get a paradigm shift. Now look at, now we're singing against apartheid. Now what next? And I think that is where they really got it wrong. Yeah, that's where they got it wrong, and like they got stuck.
We have dealt a lot about music, because you remember the late Honorable Oulanyah was a music lover. And you could find him cutting all strokes,
all strokes,
including Paka Chin.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
There was that time when sometimes people when they went Chin, some of them could not come back.
They would just collapse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But for him, he could go down and then come up, and he was a very flamboyant dancer. And that's why we have dealt much on the music part and in his day.
And when it comes to music, it was not only the modern music, but even his own actually
Exactly.
Yeah, and he would dance all these, the rakaraka, the bola, the ding ding, and all the, yes.
Exactly. And when you look at the beats in that the music you have mentioned, including the ding ding, and there's also this one of the bates with this long nani. You know, the African beat is so rich, but I think there is also a need for professionals in that area to create a theatre specifically. We have a national theatre down here, but of course over time it has now even become small.
It becomes smaller.
But
yes.
I think
there was a suggestion that we should have regional theatres, so that we can have maybe a theatre in Soroti Ombali to cater for the cultures in Eastern Uganda, one in North and maybe one in Western Uganda, and perhaps one in either Masaka for now the culture in Central, and then we can have now the National Theatre that brings all together. Because ideally, when you look at, I think don't you think they are really overwhelmed when it comes to promoting now which culture will they promote and which one will they leave? But when you have regional theaters, I think now they can now look deep into that, so that they can make sure that these cultural dances are really developed and also marketed. They can also be an activity of tourism. Tourism activity, but also they can also be used as an income generating.
But you know, the other thing is that maybe something that needs to be promoted, because Ugandans are not very good at theatre, at going to these places. I personally had not done so with the National Museum. I went there some time back. I had not myself gone there, and I know many Ugandans have not. But when you go to the National Museum, there's something that you learn about this country. And if we have those in regions, talk about
regional museum.
Yes, talk about the people, how they used to live, how they used to eat, how they used to dress, how they were conducting themselves in barrios like this, in images. It is very important, because we are not going to have all of these things forever. I was in Korea, and in Korea they have created these theaters, these places where they are displaying poverty. And when you look at what the Koreans are displaying as images of poverty from the past, you see us living that life. No wonder sometimes people come here that they are touring, but they're just coming to see
the poverty levels.
The poverty that we are living. Of course, we are not worse than some people, or we are not worse than even them who have gone out of that poverty. But the most important thing we're talking is that we need to have a trace of our history, so that when tomorrow life changes, because we're improving, we're modernizing. Those that are paths tomorrow will be roads, and later on we'll have many other things happening. But how do we maintain those images? Last time when you were passing down here, we used to have the tower, the Queen's Way.
Queen's Way, yes.
Now that tower is not there.
Now we have a flyover being constructed.
Yes, it will be put back. But you know, that transition, that history also needs to be documented. That this is how we have over the years
we've transformed. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is actually very, very, very important. That you know, like Tom Mboya said, a country without history is like a face without a nose. So let us live in line with our history, we as Ugandans, and maybe that's where now the cultural institutions have to play part, that instead of perhaps at times engaging in partisan politics, they have a lot to do for us. They have a lot to actually do for us in terms of documenting, in terms of reminding us, in terms of also making us appreciate our culture. I was like, there was a time I was in Fort Portal, and I moved around the town, and I was looking for firinda. I couldn't find it anywhere. I was like, look here. Now, if I can't eat firinda in Fort Portal, where else can I have it? And I was like, you people, this is when we come here. This is what I need. I need the oboro. I need the firinda. At least I know that yes, I'm now in Fort Portal.
I was annoyed last time when I was in Mbale. We are known for growing coffee, but you go to every shop and every place and you say, I want to have coffee. Say, we have tea. Then you are like, because we now need to create, now that we're creating some of these cities, let's attach a particular value to that city. If we say Fort Portal is a tourism city, then let's have things that make Fort Portal unique. Why
Yes.
it is. And if we say now Mbale is a coffee city, let's have coffee bars all over the place, so that when you want to go to have coffee,
Yes.
then it is in Mbale.
Yes.
So, and when you say Jinja is an ICT city, then let's have it there. Because other than that, then we shall just stop at eulogies. So this is how we used to live, because we're no longer living. And this is what we thought would be. But we can do, and we can achieve this in a very short run. But I think it's also good to have the promotion, like someone was telling us, for us who come from Gisland. If you are talking of what to promote, then you have a culture to promote. Package it very well, and that's what you can promote. Because each particular society has a particular value that they can promote, the niche that they can promote. In Uganda, we now have the dances that are promoted, and then what do we add to that to make it valuable? Now, culture is dynamic, but once you over-modernize, then you sometimes lose.
Yeah, you lose certain things.
Yes.
Because on actually, because Oulanyah was somebody who stood for his culture very, very, very seriously, and we have to learn so many things from him. Before the cassava leaves were actually attacked by now this strange pest that is eating them up. I remember there was a time I was at the border in Bwera, and I was like, went to a hotel, about 4 or 5 of them, looking for sombe, and I couldn't get. I was like, now if I can't eat sombe in Bwera, I said, okay, where else? Maybe I said, well, these people in Bwera have become GMOs. Let me cross over to Kasindi.
Exactly.
And when I went to Kasindi, I found there was a lot of sombe.
Exactly.
Look here, you see, Jack?
Yeah. So sometimes, I mean, if I can go to Mbale and I cannot eat malewa, for example, then I'm not there. So we need to use some of this because each country, each part of the world is privileged differently in terms of culture, in terms of whatever they do for a living. So we can use that. I mean, how can you go to an Ethiopian restaurant and you cannot eat injera? It must be there. And by the way, unlike Ugandans, Ethiopians, you will not leave their restaurant without having their coffee.
No,
definitely.
Actually, just like the Kikuyu, they have their special food called githeri.
Yeah,
there is no
yes.
way you can go to any hotel in Mount Kenya region and
you can't have
you can't find githeri. You'll always find it there. And that's one thing I actually like them. But just like also the Maasai, they have a particular drink that is made out of bones,
yes.
Cow bones.
Yeah.
And everywhere you go from Kajiado deep there, you'll always find it there. You know, and the Maasai are credited for always loving their culture. At least their attires, you are sure you'll get those Maasai dresses.
Yeah, there's also this.
You'll also get
I forget the name more. I forget the name, but it is they get the intestine and put their meat. Sometimes put their blood.
Blood, yes.
And then they cook it.
Yeah, so these are things that when you actually when you're in Namanga, because that is Maasai land, when you're in Kajiado, even as you go to Arusha, you'll always find those things. That you go to a hotel, you're sure you'll find those things. On the roadside, you'll find their you find the Maasai
Yes,
clothing.
yeah.
Yes, the hats. Yes.
So it is very important for a society to have that, and you pass it over to the next generation. We are having a problem here. How many of the girls now, maybe at university, from whichever part of the world, live around Uganda, because maybe Uganda it was not very developed, who can go on the grinding stone and milk you see, so some of the things, because if now I want to do the milling, I just go to the grinding mill and it will do the job for me, which is good, because technology is supposed to make our lives better and easier and comfortable. But we should not also forget how we have come. And my grandmother will tell you, if you make that kalo from the grinding mill, say, no, but this one, is not the one I'm used to, because for her she's used to her.
No,
And you know, these women, as they do this, they're also singing the song, and you know, it also adds to the relationship in the home. But science has sometimes helped us, but like Chino Achebe say, some of the things the white man put things that held us together, and they were falling apart. But these cultural things are also important. As we progress with our technology, we can use the technology still to better our lives, but also move in that long line of the history that we have.
No, assuming really we invested much in our culture, especially when it comes to the foods, the attires, I think would also be generating funds for ourselves. Because now you walk into a conference room, and there is you are served rice from Pakistan. You're given Nescafe from is it UK? Yet we have our Elgon coffee. So I mean, these are some of the things, because now if you get into somewhere, let me walk into let me walk into a conference and I find there is matoke, that is if it is in central Uganda. If it is in perhaps in Teso, let me find my potato. You know that yes, I'm now supporting the people there. Instead of maybe in the evening serving beers, let me find some ajono. And you know, you're really adding value to the farmer. Deep in Kanyum, you have a farmer, deep in Akibu, you are adding value onto them. Now, when I'm in Buganda, if I take my Mwenge Bigere, I'm adding value to somebody deep in Luvumbola, deep in Chiringente. You're now adding value onto them. Rather than you're there, you're just having beer, you're having sodas. If I'm in Ankole, instead of giving me soda, get me some milk, so that I know that I'm adding value to the cattle keeper. Yes. Yeah,
some people are not fast at adopting, because I normally tell people, why should I go to Gulu and I'm asking for matoke? There's something that I can eat from Gulu,
yes,
which will be different from the matoke. And if I'm in Uganda, why would I even ask for kalo? You know, it's not going to be there. And if I'm in Fort, then I'm going to eat kalo and something like nani. So you know, you are learning something about this particular place that you have visited, and it sticks with you. Then you are in this place but still want to eat things that you have been eating back at home. And for me, I normally tell people when I visit, you prepare for me what you know best, because you may not prepare the meat that I want to eat because there's a particular way I want it eaten, but there's something that you are rich at that you can prepare for me, and I'll appreciate that. And that's the diversity we're talking about. We can no longer hang on what we only have. We also need to open to learn new cultures, new experiences, and this is what makes humanity complete, because you are not going to stick only on your lane, but you also need to learn what happens in other people's lives. And that's very important for a country like Uganda, which has a number of 50 tribes, and with a number of dances, a number of experiences, foods, a number of dressings, a number of all those need to be appreciated, so that finally when we sit together we can agree and we can disagree, but learning from what other people believe and what they do, it helps us to be a complete
no, actually I've also talked about the dressings. You know, when you're out of the country and you talk about the dressing culture in Uganda, somebody will tell you of the gomes for the women and maybe a mishanana, but of course we share the mishanana with the people of Rwanda, and Burundi and Eastern Congo. Yes. But at least the gomes, you know somebody, yes, this is for Uganda. And I don't know, because this is something, and I was very happy that we saw women dressed in black gomeses. Yes, this is part of our dress code as Ugandan if you're a woman. Now the other thing that also needs to come out here is for the men, the kanzu. And we only buy kanzus when we're going for introduction.
Dresses, yes. I can see, I think this, I can see people in yellow, they led by secretariat or something like that, but I guess.
But are they they are gomeses?
No, not gomeses.
Yes,
but
because we also have yellow gomeses. You get it.
Exactly.
So these are some of the things: the gomesi, the mishanana, but to the men, the kanzus. Yes, and we've just misinterpreted that we only put on kanzus when we are going for kuchala. When we are going
but
for
also
Kwanjula,
people need to
this.
learn, because some people think that kanzus and gomeses are for the central part of Uganda.
Yes, I know, but this is a symbol for Uganda. When you're out there, you talk about, just like we have the Nigerian wares. Like when there was actually now tonight West African kind of attire, that somebody from West Africa, wherever they are, they're always dressed in that particular attire. So now also we as Ugandans, we should also learn to have these kanzus. Maybe we can have the types of kanzus for those ceremonies like introduction, marriage, and so on. And then we can also have other types of kanzus that one can actually put on any function. So I think this is something that
I think the central part of Uganda has done very well in that, because you have a kanzu for introduction, you have a kanzu for burial, you have a kanzu for other functions if you have to go to Bulangi and the rest. But this were actually not traditional for Uganda. They have come with the time and improved from the time they were brought in by Arabs. Gomez, of course, was an Indian who was making uniforms for Namagunga. But over time, the Gomez has now outlived the Gomez, the man who must have died long time ago. So these are things that sometimes we talked of dynamic as culture as a dynamic. I was in India, and I was meant to understand that one of why Uganda is unique is that you have many ladies in Uganda who dress like Indians. This suka which they put
the
on.
suka, yes.
And that's typical of the Indian dressing. I think it's only in Seychelles where there are also many Indians, and some of those
Mauritius as well.
Mauritius, where the Indians were taken there, now become a bigger society. Uganda is also one of the areas where you have Indians and Ugandans are blending so well. Might just they don't intermarry commonly, but I think the culture intermarries, overlaps so easily. So if we promoted the kanzu, and we have seen this when you go for international sports and Ugandans are donning their jackets and the kanzus, it looks unique and very beautiful. When else where people are skimping, Ugandans are decent. And to me, that is very important.
Yeah, of course, as we mourn the late Jacob Lokori Oulanyah, one of the things that he really stood for is culture. And a number of times he has actually presided over cultural functions and at the Uganda National Cultural Center, the National Theatre. And he was one of those people really they would look at when it comes to issues of culture. And I remember also during the CPA, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Session, they had their actual conference in Uganda. He also he took the delegates through some of our African norms and languages, saying that Africa, he actually shares the same view with President Yoweri Museveni, that African languages are rich in vocabulary, and especially I think the Luo language is also rich, that where in English you are going to use about 4 or 5 words in the African setting, one word is enough, and yes, and you've communicated. Yeah. So these are issues that he was also very, very passionate about in terms of the African language, the African culture. So these are things that he stood for, and we should actually also emulate as and when we are mourning him today. Remember, the chief mourner is expected to be President Yoweri Museveni, the fountain of honor. I don't know whether Jagenda
the Chief Justice now arriving, and I think we can connect with the Jagenda to tell us exactly what is happening in Kololo now.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, once again in studios, good morning and welcome to Kololo Independence Grounds, where we are today to accord the Right Honorable Jacob Lokori Oulanyah a state funeral, as the program has already been elaborated to us. Now, just right with me here is the Honorable Dr. Chris Bariomunsi. He's a minister for ICT, but he's also a SEC member. I'm happy to see you, sir, and of course it is where we are. Let me hear your thoughts, first and foremost, as we're mourning Jacob Lokori Oulanyah firstly as a member of parliament, as a member of SEC, and of course a leader in the party and also in the government. We've had you say lots of things, but here we are again to mourn Oulanyah.
Yes, we are here in Kololo to mourn our friend Jacob Oulanyah. You know the law, the Parliamentary Pensions Act. It provides that if a speaker or a deputy speaker die in office, then they have to be accorded a state funeral. And part of the requirements of state funeral is that we shall have prayers in a designated place, in a prayer place, a prayer worship area, or any area which cabinet approves. And we did approve Kololo to be the venue where we shall hold the prayers. That's why we are here. We shall greatly miss Jacob Oulanyah. He was the member of parliament, like we have said, for Moro County. We elected him to be our Speaker of Parliament, 11th Parliament, although he has not had time to really lead us as a Speaker. He was the Vice Chair of NRM for Northern Uganda. We sat together in the Central Executive Committee. I am the Vice Chair for Western Region, and therefore we're very close in the party, in the Parliament, and in the government. There are many great things we shall remember Jacob Oulanyah for. One of them, he was a great timekeeper. He introduced a new culture of keeping time in Parliament, where the plenary sessions began at 2 p.m. Indeed, by 2 p.m. he would be seated in the chambers. Whether you are one person or two members of Parliament, he would start. He was a disciplined person, very honest. If you agreed to do something, he would do it. And he had a heart of forgiving. Even when anybody fell out with him, he would look for him and then they reconcile and make up. He never wanted to keep grudges. And he was incorruptible. He was not moved by this greed and wanting material things of this world. He was not that character who wanted to be corrupt and to amass wealth and amass riches. No, I can vouch for him that he was not that character. And he was dedicated to do his work. He loved his work. You saw even when he was not feeling all right, he tried to chair Parliament. The last time he chaired in June when we were having the budget read, he was very sick. He actually almost collapsed in the Parliament here in Kololo that day. So he loved his work and he suffered this challenge of cancer and he was in great pain. The days when we were going through campaigns, the days when we elected him as Speaker, he was in pain, but he was not showing it. He was very resilient, very strong, and committed to the service of this country.
Does the death of Jacob Oulanyah bring any opportunities to us or only challenges? What are we learning from this? What are the things that we take from this? Jacob Oulanyah is just the first speaker to die in office. We've lost so many VIPs in the country. We've lost so many people. We've lost religious leaders. We've lost cultural leaders. But what do we pick from Jacob Oulanyah's death? For better, for worse?
Well, you know, he died in Seattle, in the US, and we have had time to discuss, to talk, and people have talked. And there are opportunities that we pick from this, or lessons we pick. Like the talk about tribalism was reignited in the wake of his death. And I think as a country, we must reflect on this because Ugandans got united further as we mourned and celebrated the life of Jacob Oulanyah. But again, there were voices which were trying to raise issues of tribalism, which again is a challenge to all of us as a country, that we need to sit and look back and see how do we move forward as a country which has people of different ethnic backgrounds, but united as a country. There have also been questions of health care in this country. Why did he die in the US? Could this open our eyes that we should do everything possible to improve the status of healthcare in this country so that we refer as few people as possible, if we must, outside the country, so that we improve. And as government, we pick that lesson positively and we should be able to do something. But I can say that one of the challenges that we have been having, like saying the management of cancer, is that we refer patients, or patients refer themselves, especially for diagnostic capacity of our healthcare system. Cancer has been killing many people because we detect it when it is too late. But I can tell the country, like we did say yesterday in Parliament, that the government is strengthening the Uganda Cancer Institute. We're actually building it to become a center of excellence. And we have already installed the machines, like what we call the linear accelerators. We are procuring what we call a PET scan. PET is the positron emission tomography, which is very helpful in detecting cancer in its earlier stages, and that is a very important aspect of diagnosing and managing cancer. So we are trying our level best to improve healthcare so that we minimize on the referrals, on the medical tourism where Ugandans are referred abroad. But of course, medical referral is a normal phenomenon. It doesn't eliminate referrals, even if we equip Marago Hospital and the Cancer Institute, but majority of the cases will still be handled here, and maybe few can only be.
Thank you very much. Now, one very final one is, even when we fix the health systems and we have everything in there, what would you tell the people, especially because it starts with me, before the Cancer Institute comes to me or before I go to the Cancer Institute, it starts with me to maybe detect and say, let me do this, let me do that, before it gets to where, because the majority of us want to go to hospitals at times when we are at stages of irredemption.
What we usually advise people is that we should go for medical checkups. Whether you are feeling bad or not, regularly, yes. Whether you are feeling okay, you have no any complaint, you should walk to a health facility, and our health facilities have ability to check whether you have a problem or not. And also, through the Ministry of Health, we are now decentralizing cancer institutes. There is a process to have a cancer institute in Mbarara, in Iguru, in Mbale, in West Nile Arua, so that we don't only come to Marago where the Cancer Institute is, but also in these regional referral hospitals, we can have the cancer managed. And we are building capacity of the doctors so that they are able to manage these cases of cancer. But the mainstay of handling this is to go for medical checkups, but also our health workers should be able to use the radios and other platforms to educate people on the do's and don'ts. What are the predisposing factors towards cancer and most of these non-communicable diseases? So we need to strengthen medical education, sensitization, so that people know what to do, they change their lifestyle, and they avoid all those risk factors which expose you to challenges of cancer. So, and this is a great lesson which we pick, because cancer is on the rise. There is actually an epidemic of cancer in this country, which we must tackle head on.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi.
Thank you very much, and once again, may the soul of Jacob Oulanyah, our brother, rest in eternal peace.
Thank you very much. Dr. Chris Baryomunsi is the Minister for ICT and National Guidance in this country, and he's also a member of the Central Executive Committee representing the people of Western Uganda. He's Vice National Chairman, Western Uganda, and he was sharing the same committee there with the late Jacob Oulanyah of Northern Uganda. Now, just right behind me here, as you can see, is the body of Jacob Oulanyah, and it is being surrounded, of course, by the bola dancers from Acholi, a sub-region. They've been doing this from the time when the body of Oulanyah came into the country here on a Friday 1st. But remember that the officers of Uganda Police Force at the rank of ACPs, the Assistant Commissioners of Police, are the ones charged with manning and managing the remains of Jacob Oulanyah, just right here as you can get to see. Now, another member of Parliament here from Honorable Okot John Amos from Gago, North County in Acholi sub-region.
Exactly.
What does this mean to start with, and on such a day like this today?
A hero. Jacob Oulanyah is our hero. This symbolizes that this is a brave person, a courageous man, honest person, the person who are focused, the person who loves people wholeheartedly. Once you have that character, we honor you, we celebrate your life, we celebrate all what you have been doing in our cultural way. Okay. And because of that, all the Acholi people, the Luo community, they see this as a symbol of a true son of the soil. Okay. And Jacob has been one of them. First of all, he had been a guy who was highly multicultural person. he has been somebody highly accomplished. He could do all sorts of things, ranging from his childhood. Jacob was rooted in the culture.
Okay. How do you blow it now? Can I just hear some sound from it? And how
It will come out, don't worry. Rock, rock.
So what does the sound mean? What is the sound communicating at such a place, at such a function, and where we are today?
This is calling all the indigenous people. That is a problem.
Oh, okay. That's the sound.
There is a problem. With that problem, we need to condole together. We need to come and assemble together to face it.
Okay.
The problem could be death. The problem could be war. Or even when the people are celebrating, you have to blow the horn. You have to call. You have to make an alarm so that people come together. If a woman was there, she would make an ovulation. We call it ojili in our language. The moment you blow a horn, the woman will come forward straight to give courage, to strengthen you. Because if you are going in a time like this, you need to strengthen your heart. You need to strengthen your heart so that tears doesn't roll from a man.
Okay.
Doesn't roll from a man.
Okay. I also just want to know this from you. When you're dancing the bola dance, it is the same dance when you're celebrating. It's the same dance when you're mourning. What differentiates it? Is it the movement of the dancing, or it is the sound of the rhythm of the songs that you sing?
Well, we are rich in cultures. The bola dance, one of them is for the royal. Number two, if you're a king, a royal like Jacob Oulanyah, we welcome you with the bola dance. And the songs that they sing will not be the same with the songs that they sing when you are being buried. So the one that are singing now, it is associated to death. And it is a mourning songs. When you are mourning, you sing those kind of songs. But still, you don't just do it anyhow. We do it selectively. We do it to people who matters, people of a high caliber, leaders, kings, princes, and prince. Those are the people who target them. It is not just any other ordinary person, even though you have been in that leadership position, but you lack the integrity that call for that just kind of honor. They will not give you. We do it, and when we are doing it, we do it without pretending. We do it wholeheartedly. And for us, we don't know how to pretend. The Luo community, they don't know how to pretend. Once you don't like something, they tell you don't like it. Whether you like it or you don't like it, we shall tell you. If something is right, you can't even recall when Jacob was here. When he was talking about corruption, he said, who is the corrupt? The corrupt are we, our neighbors, our children.
He actually said it here in Kololo.
And he was talking with passion. He was speaking, the president was there. And he said, Mr. President, let us not pretend.
We are the corrupt.
We are the corrupt. We cannot pretend unless we start not giving the audience to this one who we are trying to gratify them. You see, that is the real heart. And if we could only emulate that, if we could only take it up the way everybody in Uganda would wish corruption to die, we will fight corruption not less than even 3 months.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Honorable Amos Okot.
John Okot. Amos John Okot.
Amos John Okot he surprised me and told me his name Okot means Chiwanuka.
My dear,
Did you say that?
You know, we are Africans. We are Africans, and being in Africans, we mean names is a connotation of certain things.
Exactly.
And in Luganda, it means Kiwanuka.
Okot is Chiwanuka.
Okot.
So, anybody out there and you're called Chiwanuka, your other name could be called Okot. Thank you so much, Honorable, from Agago North constituency.
County.
Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we are here at Kololo, Independence Grounds. Now, joining me is the Honorable Abel, representing the people of Kitgum, also from Acholi sub-region. What should we expect, especially after here, when we get to Choli for Barrio? Because we yet don't know. We do not know how to go through this, and what should we expect, especially after here and when we go to Acholi this evening?
Well, I must confirm that the preparations for the decent send-off of our brother, Right Honorable Dr. Jacob Oulanyah, is going on well, and on ground, people are waiting to receive the body. I must admit and confirm that it's a very sad moment for people in Omoro, for Acholi sub-region, for Lango, for West Nile and the entire country. So people are in tears. They are crying. And when people are crying, when they've lost somebody whom they love, they have all sorts of ways of tears and all questionings and here and there. Why Jacob? What killed him? And so all these questions are on ground. But of course, we have to understand that people will mourn and people will cry for their beloved ones in all different sort of ways. But one thing I want to appeal to the people of Uganda and the people at home is that Jacob has gone, but he has not left us. Jacob did wonders. He made us proud. He left legacies. He did a lot of foundation building for quite a number of people. And I know that those who have taken Jacob's training, mentorship, will definitely emerge to be good leaders in future. They will be patriotic Ugandans. They will work for Uganda. They will be hands clean. Jacob had no, controversies, had nothing that you'd say, this is something that tins his name. So for me personally, I celebrate his life. I am grieved, yes, but one thing that gives me comfort is that Jacob defined for the people who he was. He set an example. So as one of the leaders from the region, what I look at is how do I emulate his good deeds in Uganda? What can I do that will better what he had started? How can we keep united? How can we foster development among the people? How do we look at transforming this country into a middle income status? And how do we, as leaders, take the lead? We show the way. That was Jacob's passion. School and education was one of the things that he looked up to, and quality education. So this leaves us with a big challenge.
Well, we all admit it's very somber. It's a very bad moment for all of us, for the country, for the family of Oulanyah, for you from the region, etc. But how should we leverage? What lessons, what advantages would we take from this bad situation? What good things would we look at and say, Oulanyah died, but out of Oulanyah's death, apart from his legacy, but we also came out victorious in this particular way?
One thing I have learned from Jacob Oulanyah's death is that indeed people die. One important thing in the world is health, good health. Everything you do, pay attention to your health. Everything you do, live your life to the fullest. Just invest your time in touching human beings. Invest your wealth in human beings. Because the property we acquire today will definitely perish and we leave them in the world. So if you develop somebody, touch someone's life, support somebody, those are the things people will talk about. Because if you pick anybody in this country and say, tell us about Jacob Oulanyah, they will tell you he was an intelligent man, he was an honest man, he detested corruption, he worked tirelessly, he was a timekeeper, he loved people, and he wanted Uganda to be a better place. So there are quite many good things we can talk about Jacob, but it's a key lesson that let's invest our wealth in helping others, and also let's define ourselves for people. When I die tomorrow, what will people say about me? For me, that is what I question. Like all these good things they're talking about. When I die, when Lillian, you're out of this world, what will people say about you? Because that's a challenge I'm looking at. But also, Ugandans must develop a sense of appreciating people when they are still alive. Most times when people are still alive and they're in big leadership positions, we tend to castigate them. We tend to focus more on the small mistakes they make, and we make it very big and we demoralize them. So I want to look at a country that will wake up in the morning and post on social media that, hey, look here, Right Honorable Anita Among, you're doing a great work for this country. Big up and continue what you're doing. That motivates people, and it gives energy and make you feel like you have love love. You're being loved when you're still alive.
Thank you, Honorable Lillian Abel, and please accept our condolences once again. We bereave with you, and we continue to condole with all of you and, of course, all the nation. Lillian Abel is the woman member of parliament representing Akitgum district. Akitgum is one of the districts that make Acholi sub-region where Jacob locally Oulanyah was coming from, and of course the region that you also represented as a vice chairperson of the National Resistance Movement at the Central Executive Committee. Well, here with me again is the Honorable Akol Anthony. Akol Anthony is the chairperson of the Acholi Parliamentary Committee or caucus. Well, I'm happy to have you, Honorable Akol. What should the world know, especially after here? We got the body of Oulanyah into the country on Friday. We've been with the body of Oulanyah until today, tomorrow, and finally on Friday we will lay him to rest. What should the world expect, especially for what they have not yet seen when we get to Acholi?
Well, from here we are going straight to Omoro, and the helicopter would lift the body from here tomorrow. But on the ground we have the members of Acholi Parliamentary Group and then some members of Parliament who are waiting for the body from that side. But above also we have the band, the UPDF band from 4th Division, and also we have the bola dancers. Apart from this group, we have another bola dancers who are waiting to welcome us as we go to Lalogi, and that is going to be in this afternoon. And then in the evening we'll have the vigil mass that will take place at home there. Tomorrow, the most important function that is going to take place is that we have the Council 5 of Acholi sub-region, of Lango sub-region, and then West Nile. You know, Jacob was the vice chairperson of NRM, sitting in the Central Executive Committee, representing Lango, Acholi, and West Nile. So he really tried to unite these three regions. You know, the three regions suffered a lot in terms of war. You will recall that at the time when Idi Amin was the president of this country, there was a lot of killing of people from Lango and Acholi. Then when Amin was taken over, you know, this government was taken over, there was a revenge from Acholi and Lango side on West Nile. And at one point also, Acholi and Langi, they have problem. When Obote was in government, they had problem, and then Acholi people also took over, and that kind of conflict was a lot. But when Jacob became the vice chairperson of NRM for the region, he tried very much to unite the three sub-region. You will recall that we even went to State House together as a team, and this three region has been united by the work of Jacob. And if anything, especially in Acholi sub-region, people voted for NRM not because they love NRM. They were really in love with Jacob. And it is a big gap. For me as FDC, I am seeing problem in NRM, and they need to work it out. Otherwise, it is not going to be easy for them to unite the sub-region and to also bring, you know, on board many other people whom Jacob was discussing with. But above all, there is a will that Jacob left, which this government have to work on it. He promised the people of Acholi sub-region. You will recall that UBOS came with the information that the poorest region is Acholi sub-region. He promised to get people out of poverty in the areas of Acholi, in the areas of Lango, areas of West Nile. And this is a will that this government has to work on. If they don't do that, that means there will be no legacy of Jacob in terms of uplifting people out of poverty. And that is our hope and our prayer, because if you take the sub-region in the same way, the way you are saying there is Paris development model all over Uganda, if somebody is left behind, there must be something extra. And I think the government has to work hard on this area. Yeah.
Well, apart from the council sitting tomorrow, the councils from Acholi, Lango, and West Nile, is there any other activity that is going to happen, especially cultural? Because we're seeing the whole of tomorrow before we get to Friday, which day will, of course, be a day for burial. What are the activities, especially the cultural bits to it?
Well, in terms of the cultural, you know, many people are talking about Jacob is going to be buried in a cultural way. What we are talking about is a mixture of what you are seeing in Kololo here. The cultural dance will be there. we will have tomorrow another team of Otole. Otole is a Luo dance, especially performed when you're going for war. So it is a symbol that if we could know where death comes from, we will fight it. And this is where we use the spears, we use the shield as a sign of fighting death. So that is the mix that you will see tomorrow, which has not been taking place from Friday after today. Here we had only the royal dancers, the bowlers. But when you reach tomorrow, from tomorrow going to Friday, you will see the Otole dancers will be mixing up there. But that is all we are talking about, the culture. No any other ritual that is going to be performed there. It is only the mixture of the cultural dances. Because Jacob used to like it. You know, he used to like dancing and singing the traditional songs, you know. So he was a very good dancer, especially when it comes to Bola, as you see. When it comes to La Rakaraka, the one who used the calabash. And then when it comes to Otole, he's so good in all that area. So that's why we're mixing it up in his memory. Otherwise, there is no any cultural thing that is going to happen. The burial will be in a religious manner. We are not going the traditional way.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Very finally, from the time that we learned that Jacob Oulanyah had died, we got the news here on the 20th of March. According to the Chief Justice, Oulanyah died the day before 20th, which I think was on the 19th, because the time in the United States was still reading another day. But I know you have lots of things to say about the life of Jacob Oulanyah, whom you've grown with, known, and of course worked with. But what will you remember from the 19th of March until Friday when we bury Oulanyah? I just want to look at this short two period where we've seen, where we've had the dead Oulanyah. What lessons have you learned from this period?
I think the lesson is people don't value what they have. When you lose what you have, that's when you start to remember. Even if the water sometimes, when it dries, you will begin to think the water is also flowing on the floor, that you not use it. People started realizing the value of this man when he's dead. And that is when memory of a lot of things started coming up, including even the quotes of unity, the quotes against corruption in the country, the quotes in terms of spiritual life. You will realize that this man lived only two wealth. He was following only two wealth. One is the community wealth. And that is about how do you link with other people? What is your relationship with other people? And then spiritual life. How do you prepare yourself for another life that you're going to? And this is something that people did not realize until the man is gone. Then we started seeing the value in him and how he was trying to unite the country. Some of the quotes talking about the boundaries, the mountains and the rivers that divide us is not thicker than the blood that unites us. These were things that people were not seeing. And if anything, we should learn from this point to see that we need each other in this country, Uganda. And it is important that we are taking custody for this country, for the younger generation. How are you going to leave this country? Are we going to live in a better country than where we found it? And this is something that Ugandans should unite, irrespective of whether you come from Acholi, you come from Buganda, you come from Nyankore, or from Eastern Uganda, you are a Busoga or what. We need to unite to give a better country for our young generation. And that is something we have learned from him.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Anthony Akol. Anthony Akol is the chairperson of the Parliamentary Subcommission, the subcommittee, I beg your pardon, the caucus, the Acholi Parliamentary Caucus from Acholi Sub-Region. And that's a man. And of course, shared his thoughts with us. And very importantly, is many of us possibly only discovered at the death of Oulanyah that there were very good things in him that maybe we did not have an opportunity to cultivate a little earlier. Let me also speak to my brother here, the Honorable Geoffrey Macho, representing the people of Busia municipality in Busia. Thank you so much for joining us, Ndugu and Honorable Macho. I had you in Parliament yesterday, and of course you were sending the Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah. You are a believer, and you do believe that Jacob Oulanyah is somewhere safe with the Father. You were sending him to plead for us. What did you mean, and do you still have the same sentiments? Welcome.
Yeah, true. I want to thank the viewers who are watching us right now. Yesterday, true, on floor of Parliament, I requested the Holy Spirit to use our late good brother Jacob Oulanyah to tell God how the the prices of commodities have heightened in this country, which is a very, very big problem to the cost of living of Ugandans now. And at the same time, I requested him to send a message of forgiveness for the people, majorly those who went to the hospital in Seattle, US, and they demonstrated against him for being taken for treatment. And I believe he is the God, our Lord, because of his works. The Bible says you will know them by their works. And we got a very good news that towards the end of his death, he confessed Jesus Christ as his personal Savior, and that is what we need in this world. And this is what we call upon the whole world to do, because when we have God-fearing people, people who confess God as their Lord, we know that the rate of sinning is going to reduce in the world, and even the prisons will have less prisoners.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yesterday, while in Parliament, there were certain things that you adopted on the amendments and accepted them, and it was a very energizing meeting that we all witnessed. We first of all had you say every 23rd of March will be an annual memorial lecture day for Jacob Oulanyah. There was a proposal for one of our universities in the country here to also give him a posthumous PhD, because he has one from, I think, Latin America, from an American university, and we don't have one. But then, of course, these are some of the things. How would you rate the sitting yesterday, and what do you think came out of that, and how can we see that actualize from all the deliberations that you had as members of Parliament for the whole day yesterday?
The sitting of yesterday was very fantastic, because we discussed on issues that will leave Honorable Dr. Jacob Oulanyah as a hero in this country, because for what he has done, to be awarded a doctorate by a university in America, it meant that he's a global change agent who has helped a big number of orphans and needy children to study in this country. And at the same time, we considered him as a champion of helping the needy women. Because in Omoro, as I talk now, he set up a very big circle that women go and borrow money at very little interest, and they do their businesses to have a cost of living. But we added on more that Dr. Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, before he died, he had initiated a cancer hospital in Omoro, and we requested government that in memory of our late dear speaker, that cancer institute should be complete, and so that people from the northern part of the country, and even...
And I think it can also be named after him, yes, because we have Fred Hatch here at the Cancer Institute in Malaga.
Right. And also that institute to be named after him, so that his name does not disappear. Because on floor Parliament I said political heroes don't die, and when they die they turn into flowers of kindness, of unity, and the flowers of linking us people who have remained on earth with God. And also another suggestion that was submitted is that I suggested, instead of having the parliamentary avenue, we would not make Oulanyah Avenue, so that whoever moves near Parliament, he sees the name Oulanyah Avenue, and he remembers that we had a historical speaker who died when he was a speaker. That marker will never leave. And in the same process, in Parliament, we requested the people of Omoro, in case they want to rub away the tears of horrible late Jacob Oulanyah, they should pick Oulanyah's son to go and finish the projects that Honorable Oulanyah has started. He had started a foundation which was going to have...
Does he have a son who qualifies to be a member of Parliament?
Yeah, true. He has a son of 36 years, okay, and that is a good age, and he has all the qualifications.
36, and he has the requisite academic qualifications.
Right. He's a graduate, and he's employed by government of Uganda somewhere. So that will help the son to finish the programs of establishing a television station and a radio station that was supposed to open up the northern Uganda and Omoro in particular to other parts of the country.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Macho Geoffrey from Busia Municipality. My head was thinking Garua, but thank you so much. Ndugu wa Call in Studios and Mututa, are you still with me?
were following you all the way through, and thanks a lot for bringing us and many viewers who are following this program on UBC and all its sister channels. We are with you, and we can now see the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Jessica Lupo, arriving at the Kololo Ceremonial Kololo grounds, and which means that anytime the President of the Republic will be arriving for that service.
And Ndugu Akol Mandia Mazima in studios, just right there. And Ndugu Mututa. We are at Kololo here, and of course talking to different members of parliament, talking to different monarchs, as we also monitor to see. Members of parliament are coming in, the invited guests are coming in, everybody is coming in. The religious leaders are all assembled and sat ready. I can see the entire Council of Presidents of the Interreligious Council of Uganda, all just right here with us. And with me here is the Honorable Aliek Judith. Just come. Just come closer to me here, Honorable Aliek. Honorable Aliek represents the people of Kole. Kole is one of the districts that make a Lango sub-region, Kole. And also the chairperson of the Lango Parliamentary Committee. Well, but as you can also see, we've just received now the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Anita Annette Among. She's being escorted here by Honorable General Thachengo Chero, a woman member of Parliament for Lira City, and also the Minister of Health in this country, and Dr. Chris Madiomunsi. Well, let me talk to Honorable Judith Alekia from Kole. You're very welcome, and I am happy. I am now speaking to you. Talk to us about these cultures that we're seeing, and what should the people expect? Because we're just going to go through a traditional church service here, but what happens after here, especially when we go to the villages?
First of all, I would like to thank the government of Uganda, especially the President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for the support that he gave to our late Right Honorable Speaker, Jacob Oulanyah, from the time he was sick up to the time that he died, and up to now the support is still continuing. We are really grateful because Honorable Jacob Oulanyah has been a great person who really inspired a lot of us as members of Parliament. This is my second term in Parliament, and I've been working very closely with him. He has been a great mentor to me, and then he has been guiding me in several issues, and even on the issues or on the floor of Parliament. So I would like to really thank the government, because the support that they are giving shows a success already in the way things are moving right from the time the body was received from Entebbe a few days ago up to this time that we are at Kololo having the state funeral. It is all moving on very well. So I expect that the time the body is leaving here and going to Moro, which is his constituency, it will still all be well, and we understand it is moving this afternoon. Yes, and even the burial arrangement that is scheduled for Friday, we expect it to be okay, because government has already released the money. We are aware of that, and we really expect everything to be good.
Any final message?
Yes. Jacob Oulanyah, our Right Honorable Speaker, the late, left a good legacy. When we went for meetings in Northern Region, because he has also been the National Vice Chairman for NRM Northern Region. So he went and toured all the 3 sub-regions. Those are the West Nile sub-region, Acholi sub-region, and Lango sub-region. So we moved together, and he really united us together, because all along we have not been together the way we are supposed to be as far as strengthening our party is concerned. So he did a great job, and he's remembered for a lot of things. The list is endless. We cannot mention them all, that we admire his leadership, and really we are going to miss him. But all the same, it happens because it happens. We have to let it go. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Honorable Judith Aliek is a member of parliament for Kole district. Kole is one of the districts from Lango sub-region, and she is the chairperson for the Lango Parliamentary. Thank you very much. Happy to have you so much, and of course, thank you for joining us here. Now, well, I have quite a number of them here, and I will. Well, now this is the Honorable Charles. I beg your pardon, Mr. Charles Odoch Langoya, and well, thank you so much. And others here, I can see Mr. Christopher Ebal, and Mr. Christopher Ebal. I also have Mr. Onapa here. My primary headmaster was called Onapa, and I also have Mr. Okello Walter. Happy to have all of you, and of course, Mr. Elamo Jimmy, classmate. He was a classmate with where was that now? University?
College and Makerere University.
And Makerere University. And how do you relate to him?
He was my freshman when he came to Laibi College. I was already in senior 2, and he came in to join us in senior 1. So he's my freshman.
So you were just a class ahead of Oulanyah?
Correct.
In Laibi?
Yes, correct. Okay. And then we eventually linked up again at Makerere University in 1988.
Okay. So all of you are coming from what they call Lakoba. Lakoba is Laibi College Old Boys Association. I belong to the Spectober. Mine is Spectober St. Peter's College Old Boys. So I'm from Spectober, and you're from Lakoba. Happy to meet comrades from Lakoba. And you?
Jacob was my classmate in St. Joseph College, Laibi, from 1980 to 83.
80 to 83?
Yes.
Which classes were these? Which classes were these?
Senior 1 to senior 4.
Senior 1 to senior 4.
Yes, please. Okay. Yes.
What do you remember about him in school especially? The rest of us know Oulanyah in Parliament. We don't know Oulanyah at Laibi College.
He was very stubborn and very cheeky. You know, we used to go to the Sacred Heart Girls' School every first Sundays of the month. And in the evening, he was one of the people who were very active in cartooning people. Those who never got escorted there's a place we call Disappointment Valley. So he was a very active person, and he used to dance a lot. We had bull dance, and he was very active. There's only one person called Okechagio George who was beating him. That actually was a very nice guy.
You've reminded me about the bull dances. We used to have these bull dances until when we could get some leeway to invite girls from Tororo Girls to come and blend with us. Happy to have you again, Mr. Ebal. How about you, and what are your memories of Jacob Oulanyah in school, especially at Laibi?
When Oulanyah came to Laibi in 1980, I was already in senior 3. So I looked up to him as one of the small boys. But normally the senior 2s were fond of bulldozing the senior 1s. So they would come to senior 3s for refuge. But what I can tell you is that Oulanyah picked most of the good values the Varana father gave us in Laibi. I can tell you, for example, that aspect of God-fearing. Those days, the Varana fathers made sure everybody goes to church, irrespective of your religion. The issue of timekeeping, the Varana fathers made sure we did that. The issue of being practical in whatever you do. There were a lot of practical subjects, because that was a science-based school. There was technical drawing, woodwork, SSP science, SSP physics. So it oriented us to doing things the practical way. So that's how it became very innovative. He's always talking of changing the paradigm. And then when you look at aspects like hard work, we used to have what they call monsoon. Every year they would eliminate
the monsoon winds.
The monsoon wind. 10% of the people would be eliminated.
Our monsoon winds came from a place called Kwapa. They could come shipping from Kwapa up to a place called Kasori.
Yes. That one, every year people would go. So if you are not hardworking, you would not survive. So those aspects of forgiveness and being kind and hardworking, which Joseph got, were all as a result of that. What you can say is an accomplished, pragmatic leader who has done the best possible. May his soul rest in eternal glory.
Thank you very much. Mr. Doch, how about you?
I interacted with Jacob mostly on issues to do with development of the college, because I'm the chairman, the board of trustees of the Old Boys Association. So he was a very developmental person, and every time he asked us to go to his office, discuss ways of revamping performance of the college. And we managed to do quite a number of projects with him. 2017, we built a 400 million shilling swimming pool, the first of its kind, and with a lot of his assistance. Just recently, last month, no, in Feb, while he was in the hospital, he actually sent 5 million shillings to help the teachers put up a poultry project. So he was a very developmental oriented person who always called us to his office, pick up something. He also comes from the generation of the 80s, the generation that never allowed the college to drop below number 10 in the country. So Laibi is remembered for that powerful performance, this generation you see here. So recently we also were working with him on revamping the performance of the college. We were somewhere around number 400, but we managed to come down to number 62 pre-COVID. We slipped back to about 100, but we thought with Jacob we were going to do quite a lot of things to revamp the performance of the college. We shall miss him dearly. May his soul rest in peace.
Finally, for all of you, how should Laibi remember Jacob Oulanyah? Because when you talk about Laibi College, for example, you remind me of the schools. Because I remember when I was going to school, the schools you would want to go to, Laibi, Lango College, Teso College, Alawe, Tororo College. You know, we had these schools, Nabomalid, Butovere College. These were the schools that all of us wanted to go to. How do you think the legacy of Jacob Oulanyah should be remembered, especially from those who have studied at Laibi College and those who will in the future study at Laibi College? Just in less than a minute for all of you.
He played a big role in bringing teamwork, because we went to Senior 4 at the time when the white headmaster had just left. And we had that feeling that we would not make it, but it was a unifying factor. And he made us work hard, do a lot of research, and we emerged the third best school in the country in 1983. So I think he played a big role in making us work as a team. Thank you.
The Jacob that we are talking about is a man who made himself. The fact that he rose up to where he rose was not by luck. Why do I say this? Because of a number of factors, but two critical ones. Number one, he was a critical thinker. And the manifestation is what you see being celebrated. They're saying he was a great orator. He was a great mentor. That is premised on the characteristics and the attribute that he developed from Laibi College as a critical thinker. Not only a critical thinker, but he would communicate his ideas very eloquently. And that made him a consummate debater. Jacob was also very focused. He would look at a goal, set his goal, and lock his eyes on that goal and work towards achieving that goal. And again, this underlies the fact that the journey he took, you can see from step to step until he became the Speaker of the Republic, the Speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, was not by accident, but by the fact that he was a man who would work tirelessly to achieve his goal. We will remember him for these and many other factors. We are proud to be very associated with him. Thank you.
Thank you. In my school, in my old school, Tororo College, we have a dormitory called Bernard Onyango. Bernard Onyango, the late Professor Bernard Onyango of Makerere University. We were told why the dormitory was actually named after Bernard Onyango. I'm only thinking, is there a plan like that to have a dormitory in memory of Jacob Oulanyah? And I think it would be a good feeling for students in there to sleep in a dormitory called Jacob Oulanyah House. I'm only thinking from you.
I think what I can say we should remember Jacob is clarity of goals. He was a very clear-minded person. He was not a mediocre. So really, that's what I can summarize about Jacob. In regard to having something at the school to remember, it will be communicated. Yeah, I leave my senior to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. From you, Mr. Bao?
Yeah, he was very humble and very focused. When he wants to do something, he would deliver it. So my view is the best way we can remember him as a school is to name one of the dormitories or even the library, Jacob Oulanyah Memorial Library or Dome. to me, that would be the best. And it is achievable. We shall work towards that.
The way you look, I can only see the way you all look. I think that can actually fail all these very handsome gentlemen.
Yes, I remember Jacob. Jacob joined Senior 1. And immediately upon joining Senior 1, he went straight to the debating club. It was not an easy thing for a person coming from a rural location. Speaking English wasn't a very easy thing. So he immediately went into joining the debating club. And we really remember him for that. But also, our next infrastructure project is an e-learning center. Because you notice with the COVID, most of the students in the north did not have that opportunity of going for e-learning. So our next project as OB is to put up an e-resource center. And as the board, we shall table this and make sure it's approved so that that center is in memory of the late Jacob. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Odoch Langoya. Thank you so much. Engineer Christopher Ebal, thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mr. Okello Walter. Thank you so much, Mr. Otim Onapa. My headmaster is called Abraham Kapongoli Onapa in primary school. And thank you so much, Mr. Jimmy Lamo. All these old boys of Libe, a college where they started with. The late now, Right Honorable Jacob Lokoli Oulanyah. Well, we saw the speaker, of course, arriving just a few minutes ago. Thank you so much, this very lovely team from Libe, of course, remembering their own. Many of these started with Jacob Oulanyah, shared porridge in school, posho in school, dormitory, etc. And you know, that's what it is. They came, as you can see them, to also say goodbye to their friend, their comrade, and of course, their own old boy. Now, here is Honorable Wanda Richard representing Bongoko. Bongoko Central. Bongoko is where the Mufti comes from, I'm sure. So he's a member of parliament for the Mufti of Uganda. Sheikh Saban Ramadan Mubaje. I know the place.
Chairperson of Bugisu Parliamentary Caucus.
Okay.
Together with the vice chairperson.
Honorable Nangoli Jeradia, also from vice chairperson Bugisu.
And Iniro, to the late.
Oh, yes, I remember now.
Yes, please.
From Nangwale?
Yes, please.
From Nangwale?
Yes.
Because the late was from Nangwale. Oh, the Bagisu. Okay, from Nangwale.
But for me, I'm from Elogon.
You're from Elogon. Is that now the Busai? Bunamboli.
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Magoro. Yes. From Mubungoko North.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
You know I'm a Ugandan.
The General Secretary.
Members of Parliament. Yes. At the same time as in-laws.
Okay. Yeah. That I know. From Nangwale. And
Chibedi Segumire from Mitiana North constituency.
Yeah. Okay. Now Chibedi has mingled with Elgon, but what do we have to say? He's an associate, and we Thank you, Chibedi. I'll start with you. Your memories. You know, I'm very much interested in the Oulanyah after 19th of March 2020. When we get the news that Oulanyah is dead, how did you guys hear that news? How did you feel? And I want to think about that. What came to your minds? What came to your heads as members of parliament? Your speaker is dead. Your friend is dead. Fellow legislator is dead. Your brother-in-law is dead. Because many of you have lived with Oulanyah, you've debated with him, you've been with him in parliament, but I want to look at that period, the 2 weeks here, when we heard that Oulanyah is dead. What came to your mind?
Excuse me, before that, just give me 1 second.
It's okay.
I came to know Oulanyah, the speaker, before becoming a member of parliament myself. I was traveling with him to the US. I stayed with him for a week. Oulanyah became a friend. He was a man of his word. He guided me in several issues. So since then, he became my friend. Now, when he became a member of parliament, and I rang him that he congratulated me that, oh, Segumiri, you are now a member of parliament. You're going to work together to see the development of this country. So he told me that I'm going to stand as a member. I remember Oulanyah. He met me on the veranda of Parliament, and he said, "Oh, Chibedi, how is Mitiana?" I said, "Mitiana is fine, but we need so many things." He said, "It's okay. I'll be able to help you. I've been here. I know how to go about it." I was so happy. And when we went in Parliament in plenary, he singled me out. He said, "What do you have to say about Mitiana?" I talked about Mitiana. Oulanyah was a great man. He was a great man. We are going to miss him. He was a very, very good man. But unfortunately, who he gives, he has taken. So we have nothing to do, but we are going to miss him. The country is going to miss him. Friends are going to miss him. And his people are going to miss him. Yeah.
Thank you. Honorable Magolo.
Yes. Uganda has lost a gallant son, a great leader, a lawmaker, an eloquent and articulate, knowledgeable legislator. That's the unfortunate bit. Unfortunately, but life has to carry on. But the beauty is that this man has emulated himself in many Ugandans. Every member of parliament is speaking about the rule of law, about knowledge in legislation, and so we are taking on what he has left. The best way to remember Right Honorable Oulanyah is to exactly do what he loved. Rule of law, being grounded in law and making arguments, sharpening arguments, not the voice. And so that is what he has left with us. But he has also built successors. He has not left the country, he has not left Parliament as a shadow. We are not in a crisis because he has mentored people who are stepping in his shoes, and the Parliament is going to move forward. Especially the people who have already worked, he has already worked with him. Kale, we are just moving forward. It's unfortunate, but we have to move forward. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Mukwasi.
Thank you so much. Fellow Ugandans, it is really a great loss. We are still mourning, and when I heard about the death of Oulanyah on 20th March, I could not believe until when I was in Entebbe to receive the body. I happened to have been part of the delegation to receive the body. I personally have been too close to Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah because I was his coordinator in charge of Bugesu sub-region during speakership candidature. But the reality is Oulanyah was a person who is result-oriented. I got to know Oulanyah last year, 2021, around February, before I was sworn in as a member of parliament. And when I went to his office, he asked me, "Gerard, I can see all the time you're on form. What is the problem?" And I told him that I have my coordinator who lost an election in Kabsam County, but he has applied in Uganda prisons for a cadet officer's job, and he has been shortlisted, but I don't know whom to contact. And he told me, "Sit down, put off your phone. Give me the name of the boy." I gave him the name of the boy. He called the commissioner of prisons. There and then the boss called for interview and he's working. So that was Oulanyah. He does not tell you come tomorrow. He will solve your problem there and then. If it's not, he will tell you this one is not possible. Let's go in the plenary. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our time is running out. Honorable Modoi Isaac, say something in 30 seconds.
Now, for me, I'm called Honorable Modoi Isaac. I come from Bududa, constituency called Lutseshe. That's where the wife, the late wife of Honorable, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, rather Speaker, got the wife from Inginia Nangwale. Actually, my brother, elder brother, Honorable Chikona, is supposed to represent us. Actually, we are the Vako to the late. What I can say that he looked after our sister very well. On top of that, he created us a relationship. He's a very man who speaks his mind, very thorough, and he loved the nation. And the reconciliation part of it is what we must carry forward. As I spoke yesterday in Parliament, on floor Parliament, the way people have been apologizing to one another, the way people have said we love one another, the way he has said that we must hold Uganda as one, to me, I believe that's a big legacy that he has left for us. We think we are going to miss him, but the challenge we have as members of Parliament is to live in the shoes of Oulanyah and make policies that they touch the person of down, the person of the lower ground, because those are the people that we represent. May God bless this peace.
Thank you very much. Say something, Mr. Chairman of the Elgon Parliamentary Committee.
Thank you so much. As a parliament, first of all, the news came as a surprise. Our hope was that Right Honorable Oulanyah, the late now, was going to get better. So when we were informed that he had passed on, it was a shock because we had earlier got information that he was improving. But in him, we have lost a nationalist, a Pan-African, a man who believed in results, as my colleagues have put it. But above all, he believed in being thorough. You need your facts before you present anything, and he believed that everything was possible by negotiation. As a people, the people of Bugisu, we mourn our in-law. As a nation, we are mourning. But what I can say that it's not lost. There are people he has worked with who have learned his way of work. We believe we will push Parliament ahead. One thing I want us all to pick from the late Honorable Jacob Oulanyah is that in every person, he looked for something important to pick, something good. Because all people have many factors around them, but he looked for that strong point and picked it.
He was more concerned with what unites us than what divides us. Thank you so much, Honorable Member of Parliament.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, these are the brothers-in-law to the late Jacob Oulanyah, just like you heard from them. Now, talk to just two of Oulanyah's comrades here, and these are the bikers. We've seen them yesterday when we had that procession from Majidum Close in Mienga, and of course today when the body was leaving Parliament to come down here to Kololo, it was of course led by the bikers here. And of course this is one of them, Angela Semukutu. She is a biker, and of course she's been doing this with Jacob Oulanyah. Just like everybody is saying they will miss Jacob Oulanyah, we know you will miss Jacob Oulanyah in different categories. We've related to Jacob Oulanyah differently, but I want to hear from you in just a minute or two about your memories of Oulanyah, especially when you had the bad news that your member, friend Oulanyah had actually gone.
Okay, thank you very much. One of Jacob's saying was, loving one another is a command from God. So for us sitting down with Jacob and riding with him, that is the love we had for him and him for us. He actually found solace riding with us. He had fun with us, and he loved his bike. He had a passion for riding, and what more can you tell a giant from Acholi land? This was what he wanted. A lot of people here knew him from Parliament. For us, we knew the downside of the Botai giant from Acholi sub-region. So we know him from that side as the gentle guy, the gentle bear, the generous guy, very humorous, kind, and loved activities surrounding humanity.
How do you intend to remember him away from all this, finally, in just 30 seconds?
How do we intend to remember him? We have already done what we've called the Joma run. That's a Jacob Oulanyah Memorial Run. So we are going to go to the northern part of the country. We are going to look at some of the activities that the speaker was very passionate about. And we hope that we can pick one with which we can carry his legacy on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Angela.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here is where we are now. The Bola dancers, as you can see, now taking center stage again of what are the ceremonies and the celebrations happening here. Earlier on, you heard from Honorable Okot, who actually told us when they're dancing, the way they sing, the rhythm, and everything that is attached to that is mourning. But of course, this does not happen to every person who dies. It is only for the royals, the prince, the princesses, and the kings and the queens, and the people that they regard extraordinarily amongst their culture. Oulanyah Jacob being one of those. Now, you remember that Oulanyah Jacob is not a cultural leader, is not one of those, but because of who he is and how distinguished he has been in this community and of course to this country. That's why we now see the Bola dancers here performing and doing what they know how to do best. I told you this does not only happen here in Uganda, but we have also heard and seen some other cultures. The Kenga people in central South Sudan also do and perform a similar dance at such a ceremony when they're celebrating, when it's victory for them, and when they are mourning their beloved ones. They have always done such a thing. We have the Maori of New Zealand who also do what they call the haka dance. And they also perform their haka dance, especially at such events. And of course, there is also another dance that is called the dingy dance for the people in Jamaica. So these some of the cultures that are unique to some people and some persons across the country, across the continent, across the world, and across the globe. So when you see this, don't be surprised. Your culture may not know what this means, but to them, this is the befitting send-off of their own member of the community who has distinguished himself, and of course with distinguished service to the community and of course to the country. Now welcome to what is happening here at Kololo. My name is Jagenda Semakola Ziksoka. We will be with you until the end of this ceremony today. Welcome again and thank you for being with us.
Sing it together. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. Oh, He will be my guide. Hold me closely to His side with love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way. Listen, by a roadway in the wilderness, He'll lead me. Rivers in the desert, rivers in the desert will I see. Heaven and earth will fade, but His word will still remain, and He will do something new today.
Asante sana ndugu Jagenda Chiwanuka. Asante sana ndugu Jagenda Semakula kwa kutuwezesha kujua kile kinachoendelea pale katika uwanja wa uhuru wa Kololo. Na ndugu mtazamaji, bado ni siku ya maombolezi ya kitaifa ambapo tunaona kwamba leo mgeni wa heshima mgeni rasmi atakuwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Uganda, Rais Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Na nikiwa na mwenzangu hapa James Mtuta back from what we are seeing at Kololo. What do you have to say?
Asante sana ndugu. Now anytime now we are expecting that the service will start and the President of the Republic will be arriving in Kololo for the state service for the late Honorable Speaker of Parliament. We have heard from people who went to school with him, people who have worked with him, people he has mentored, and people he has helped in one way or the other, especially the young politicians who joined him. I heard from my brother Macho, who said he had sent him to go and talk to God about the prices. Like God has not read from Uganda about the prices. Now, and we have heard many of them attributes from a cross-section of people who either have worked with him or some have interacted with him. We heard from the bikers. So like we have heard, indeed the Honorable Oulanyah was a cross-cutting figure. Be the women, be the men, be the youth, and that's a lot that we're hearing from him. And for the viewers who are following us now, we can confirm that the President of the Republic of Uganda is now arriving at Kololo, and from here we shall be continuing with the official now service of the prayers for the late Speaker. And after which I think we will be back with the final arrangements as the body will be leaving Kololo for his home district of Omoro for burial.
Well, Ndogu Jakenda did not take us through over who has come actually, the dignitaries from outside Uganda.
Yeah, but we heard from Congo only.
You've just had a delegation from Congo. We expect a delegation from Tanzania,
especially
Kenya, especially from the East African parliaments. We expected it, even from Yala. I think
even the Commonwealth. Even the Commonwealth. There must be people, but you know.
You are most welcome, Your Excellency the President.
Yes, now we hand you over to Kololo now that the Fountain of Honor, who is the chief mourner, has arrived.
You are most welcome, sir. You are most welcome, the First Lady.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Tibuhaburwa Museveni, and Mama Janet Museveni, the First Lady, you are most welcome. And thank you for organizing this function for us so that we can also pay tribute to our own. We shall now... Yes, actually, cultural troupe, please. Yeah. Your Excellency, that is their way of paying tribute to their own. Can we now first stop? Now we are going to have the anthems, the national anthem, the East African and East African Community Anthem. Excellency, and the distinguished guests, I think we can take our seats. Your Excellency, it's mainly a function of prayers in honor of Right Honorable Jacob Lokori Oulanyah. We are saying this not mentioning him as the late, because when Jesus was teaching us, he said, God said, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. Yes, we are here with the body of our beloved, but the soul is living somewhere. Your Excellency, now we are going into the church service, which will be led by His Grace, the Most Reverend Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba Mugalu, Archbishop of the Church of Uganda. He is also accompanied by other religious leaders, His Grace Paul Semogerere, Archbishop of Kampala Diocese, and also present is Archbishop Geronimus Muzei of the Orthodox Church, and His Eminence Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubaje, the Mufti of Uganda. And then for the Pentecostal Church, we have Bishop Joshua Luere, the chairperson of the National Fellowship of Born Again Pentecostal Churches. But the main celebrant today will be His Grace, the Archbishop, the Most Reverend Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba Mugalu, Archbishop of the Church of Uganda. Your Excellency, please allow me to hand over to the church.
At this moment of sorrow, we are reminded by the words of the author in Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 21. And this I have in my mind, and I have hope, for the Lord is great in love, we are not consumed. For his compassions never fail, they are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. And I said to myself, the Lord is my portion. I'll always wait for him. Your Excellency and Mama, the Chief Mourner, and all other mourners, I want to welcome all of you, and especially brothers and sisters from other religious bodies, as already welcomed. To God be the glory. And here we have also Dr. Sirada, who will bring a message on behalf of Interreligious Council later on. We have Captain Sentongo representing the Church Army. We have Dr. Julius Oyet, Provincial Secretary Canon William Ongeng, the DS of Kampala, Canon Awadi, Provost of All Saints, Dr. Nyegenye, and the Assistant Jaffu, Canon Ibarwa, Reverend Kansime. We also have Reverend Onesimus, Chapel Makerere University, Reverend Onyuchi from Chiwiriza. But I want to appreciate and introduce in a special way Reverend Canon Christine Shimanya. Would you like to stand up? She has done a great work. She's a chaplain of Anglicans in the Parliament. Well done. Thank you very much. Everybody here present, you are welcome. Let us be comforted by God's word today. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Let us all stand. We are all going to stand and turn to page 6 and sing together that hymn led by the choir. Page 6.